Think about a dream you've always had. Maybe it's starting a business, writing a book, or running a marathon. Now ask yourself, how long have you been thinking about it? Weeks, months, maybe even years. And yet the dream is still just that, a dream. Why? The answer is simple. Dreams without deadlines are just wishes. Without a timeline, there's no urgency, there's no accountability. Your brain doesn't recognize them as goals, and so your actions never align with the outcome you desire. You may have the skills, the resources, and the ideas, but without deadlines, your potential remains untapped. Deadlines are not there to create stress, they exist to create focus. They force clarity. When you know that something must be done by a certain date, your mind begins to organize itself differently. Priorities become clear. Distractions lose power. Every action starts to move you closer to completion. Without deadlines, procrastination becomes the default mode. A powerful thing about deadlines is that they turn vague intentions into measurable progress. If your dream is to write a book, saying, "I'll finish it someday," means it will likely never happen. But saying, "I'll finish the first draft in 90 days," changes everything. Your days become structured. Your actions become deliberate. You start to see progress, and with progress comes motivation. Deadlines also challenge your commitment. They test how serious you are about your dream. When you set a deadline, you are making a promise to yourself, and promises have power. They force you to confront obstacles, adapt when things go wrong, and push yourself in ways you didn't think were possible. Finally, deadlines create momentum. Momentum is what turns small steps into big achievements. Each task you complete on your timeline builds confidence. Each milestone fuels determination. And soon enough, what started as a dream begins to feel inevitable because your actions are aligned with time, with purpose, and with accountability. So if you truly want your dreams to work, stop leaving them in the abstract. Set a deadline, break it into actionable steps, measure your progress. And remember, a dream without a deadline is just a wish. A dream with a deadline becomes a plan, and a plan executed becomes reality. 5 keynotes of the speech: dreams without deadlines remain wishes. Deadlines create urgency and accountability. Deadlines force focus, prioritize actions, and reduce distractions. Setting deadlines turns vague intentions into measurable progress. Deadlines test your commitment and push you to adapt and overcome obstacles. Deadlines create momentum, turning consistent action into tangible results. When we think about our dreams, it's easy to get lost in the excitement of what could be. We imagine ourselves achieving something extraordinary, whether it's launching a business, finishing a novel, or transforming our health. These images are compelling, they inspire us, they fill us with hope, and they make us feel motivated in the moment. Yet, so often, that motivation fades quickly, and the dream stays exactly where it was, just a dream. The reason for this is simple, but powerful. Without a deadline, a dream is nothing more than a wish. It has no structure, no urgency, and no accountability. A wish is something you hope for someday, but a dream without a timeline is just a fantasy that will never come to life unless you create a framework to make it real. Deadlines are the difference between imagination and action. They are the bridge that connects what you want with what you do. Without a deadline, there's no natural push to move forward. Our brains are wired to prioritize immediate demands over abstract desires. If there is no endpoint, if there is no date stamped on your goal, your brain treats it as optional, as something that can wait. That's why so many people can spend years thinking about what they want, talking about it, and even planning for it, yet never make meaningful progress. Without deadlines, dreams are easy to put off because the mind doesn't feel a sense of responsibility towards something undefined. When you set a deadline, however, everything changes. Suddenly, there is a sense of urgency. A deadline creates a tangible target to aim for, and it forces you to focus on what matters most. It shifts the dream from being a vague desire to being a concrete goal. You start to ask yourself questions that you never asked before. What do I need to do today to get closer to this? What can I accomplish this week to make progress? How will I ensure I am on track? Deadlines force this type of structured thinking because they impose a limit on time. They are not meant to make you anxious. They are meant to create a framework for action. Accountability is another critical reason deadlines make dreams achievable. When a deadline exists, you are accountable to yourself and often to others if you choose to share your goal. Accountability is a form of pressure that actually strengthens commitment. It keeps you from falling into the trap of procrastination, which is the greatest enemy of dreams. Without a date to aim for, it's easy to justify an action tomorrow, next week, next month. But deadlines demand action. They force you to make decisions, take steps, and face the reality of whether you are serious about your dream. Deadlines also give you a way to measure progress. A dream without deadlines has no checkpoints, no milestones, and no way to know if you are moving forward or standing still. Deadlines create markers along the path that allow you to celebrate small wins and adjust when things are not going as planned. Every step you take toward a deadline reinforces the belief that your dream is achievable. This belief is crucial because it keeps motivation alive. The more progress you see, the more your mind trusts that the dream can become real. Ultimately, a dream without a deadline is like planting a seed and never watering it. It has potential, yes, but it will never grow on its own. Deadlines are the water, sunlight, and soil that allow potential to flourish into achievement. They transform hope into action, intention into commitment, and ideas into results. Without them, dreams remain suspended in time, always in the future, never in the present. But with them, you create a sense of urgency and accountability that turns possibility into reality. When we set out to pursue a dream, one of the greatest obstacles we face is not a lack of ability, resources, or even ideas, it is distraction. Our modern world is full of things vying for our attention, from constant notifications on our phones to endless streams of information and entertainment. Without a clear structure, it's easy for our minds to drift, for our energy to scatter, and for our goals to become secondary to the demands and temptations of the moment. This is why deadlines are so critical. Deadlines act as a guiding compass, directing our attention and energy toward what truly matters. They force focus, they prioritize action, and they naturally reduce the influence of distractions. Focus is the first gift a deadline gives us. When you know you have a specific date to complete a task or achieve a goal, your mind immediately begins to organize itself around that target. You start to see what needs to be done, what is urgent, and what is essential. Deadlines create a sense of clarity that doesn't exist when goals are open-ended. Without them, we can wander endlessly, moving from one task to another without any real direction, believing that progress is happening when in reality, it is not. A deadline sharpens the lens through which we see our work and our dreams. It highlights the path forward and reminds us that every step we take matters because the clock is ticking. Prioritization naturally follows focus. When you have a deadline, you begin to ask yourself difficult but necessary questions. Which actions will move me closer to my goal the fastest? Which tasks are critical and which are distractions in disguise? Deadlines force you to confront the reality that not everything can be done at once, and that time is limited. This process of prioritization is essential because it ensures that your energy is spent on what truly matters. Without deadlines, you can easily get lost in busy work, tasks that feel productive but do not actually bring you closer to achieving your dream. Deadlines make the distinction between activity and progress clear, guiding you toward meaningful action. Another important effect of deadlines is their ability to reduce distractions. Distractions are the silent killers of dreams. They are the social media scrolls, the unnecessary meetings, the side projects that seem urgent but are not important. When there is no timeline, it's easy to justify indulging in these distractions. Deadlines, however, create a boundary around your time. They force you to be intentional about how you spend each hour, each day. With a deadline in place, saying no to distractions becomes a necessity, not a choice. You start to guard your focus as if it were a valuable asset, because in many ways it is. Deadlines also create an internal pressure that enhances efficiency. When you know that there is a finite amount of time to complete something, your brain becomes more efficient at problem solving and decision making. You stop overthinking small details that do not matter and instead concentrate on actions that produce results. Deadlines turn intention into behavior. They push you to work smarter, not just harder, because wasted effort is no longer an option. Every decision, every action, every moment becomes aligned with the goal you have set, and the distractions that once seemed appealing lose their hold over you. Ultimately, deadlines are not just about time. They are about alignment. They align your thoughts, your actions, and your priorities with the dream you want to achieve. They transform scattered energy into concentrated effort. They force focus where there was once wandering attention. They clarify what is essential and filter out what is irrelevant. They reduce the noise of daily life so that your efforts can rise above it. Without deadlines, even the most brilliant ideas and the strongest intentions can dissolve into distraction. With deadlines, you create a structure that ensures your focus is constant, your priorities are clear, and your actions are meaningful. Intentions are powerful, but they are not enough. It is easy to tell yourself that you want something, that you will achieve it, or that one day you will take the steps necessary to make it real. Intentions can feel exciting, they can fill you with hope and motivation, but without structure, they remain abstract, floating in the realm of someday. Setting deadlines changes everything because it transforms vague intentions into measurable progress. Deadlines turn dreams from ideas into tangible outcomes, and without them, it is almost impossible to know whether you are moving forward or simply standing still. When you set a deadline, you create a point of reference. You define the moment by which a specific goal must be achieved. And in doing so, you give yourself something concrete to work toward. This makes your intention measurable. You can look at it, track it, and ask yourself whether you are on track or falling behind. Without deadlines, there is no way to quantify progress, and human nature tends to reward action that produces visible results. Intentions without measurement often feel satisfying because thinking about a goal gives the illusion of progress, but in reality, no forward movement has occurred. Deadlines remove the illusion and replace it with accountability and action. Deadlines also help break down large, overwhelming dreams into smaller, actionable steps. When a goal is abstract, it can feel impossible to start because you are unsure of where to begin. But when you assign a timeline, it forces you to create a roadmap. If your goal is to write a book in a year, a deadline encourages you to set targets for chapters, daily word counts, and editing phases. Each milestone becomes measurable and progress becomes visible. This visibility is essential because it fuels motivation. As you check off tasks, you experience the satisfaction of achievement, which reinforces your commitment to the goal and makes the dream feel achievable. Furthermore, deadlines create a system of evaluation. Progress is not just about completing tasks. It is about understanding how effectively you are moving toward your goal. When a timeline exists, you can analyze what is working, what is slowing you down, and what needs adjustment. You can measure not only outcomes, but also the efficiency of your actions. This reflective process is impossible without deadlines because without them, there is no way to determine whether you are on schedule or whether your efforts are sufficient. Deadlines make success quantifiable and help you continuously improve your approach. Deadlines also introduce a sense of urgency that turns intention into action. Human beings are naturally inclined to prioritize tasks with clear consequences or time constraints. Without a deadline, it is easy to delay, rationalize, and procrastinate. You might intend to exercise, learn a new skill, or start a project, but without a specific timeline, these intentions are vulnerable to distraction and postponement. Deadlines create a sense of pressure that motivates action. The clock becomes a tool that guides you, forcing you to focus your energy and time on the steps that will move you closer to your goal. Ultimately, deadlines convert the abstract into the concrete. They give shape to your intentions and allow you to see progress in real time. Every small step you take toward a deadline is measurable, trackable, and meaningful. Deadlines provide clarity, accountability, and structure, which are all essential for turning dreams into reality. They transform the energy of hope into the momentum of action. Without them, your intentions, no matter how sincere or passionate, risk remaining nothing more than ideas in your mind. With deadlines, your intentions become a sequence of actions, and every action brings you closer to achieving what once seemed distant and unattainable. When you set a goal, it's natural to imagine smooth progress, a clear path, and steady advancement. But in reality, pursuing a dream is rarely straightforward. Challenges arise, unexpected obstacles appear, and setbacks test your resolve. This is where deadlines play a critical role. They act as a measure of your commitment and a catalyst for growth. Deadlines are not just arbitrary dates on a calendar. They are a mirror that reflects how serious you are about your dream. They expose the depth of your dedication and force you to confront obstacles in ways that intentions alone never could. A deadline creates accountability to yourself. When you commit to finishing something by a certain date, you are making a promise to your future self. This promise has weight. It is a declaration that your dream is important enough to require action within a defined time frame. Once the deadline exists, you can no longer ignore your responsibilities or push tasks indefinitely into the future. Deadlines bring your commitment into focus, highlighting whether you are willing to do what is necessary, even when it's uncomfortable, inconvenient, or difficult. They demand that your actions align with your words because intentions without follow-through lose their power. Obstacles are inevitable, and deadlines force you to face them rather than avoid them. When there is no timeline, it's easy to rationalize setbacks. I'll get back to it tomorrow, or I'll figure it out someday. Deadlines remove this luxury. They create pressure to find solutions and make progress despite challenges. Each obstacle becomes a problem to solve rather than an excuse to delay. This pressure pushes you to adapt. You begin to see alternative routes, identify new strategies, and discover resources you might never have noticed otherwise. Deadlines teach resilience because they require that you keep moving forward, even when circumstances are difficult or uncertain. Deadlines also reveal the depth of your preparation. When you face challenges on the path to your goal, a looming date forces you to assess your methods, skills, and priorities. You start to ask critical questions. Am I using my time efficiently? Are my strategies effective? Do I need to seek help or adjust my approach? Without deadlines, you may never examine these questions with urgency. A deadline accelerates learning because it introduces stakes. The pressure encourages experimentation, adaptation, and iterative improvement. You start to see that setbacks are not failures. They are signals that require adjustment, teaching you how to navigate complexity while remaining focused on your goal. Deadlines also shape your mindset in subtle but powerful ways. They create a sense of urgency that reinforces commitment, but they also cultivate discipline and persistence. When the clock is ticking, giving up is no longer an option if the goal truly matters. Deadlines push you to endure discomfort, confront uncertainty, and persist in the face of adversity. They teach you that achieving meaningful results is rarely about luck or convenience. It is about consistent effort under pressure and about the ability to adapt when challenges arise. The process of working toward a deadline strengthens character and builds resilience, qualities that extend far beyond a single goal. Ultimately, deadlines serve as a testing ground for your commitment. They separate wishful thinking from real intention, preparation from action, and dreams from reality. They push you to examine how much effort you are willing to invest, how flexible you can be when faced with challenges, and how determined you are to see your goals through. Deadlines do more than measure time. They measure your readiness to act, your willingness to persist, and your ability to adapt. Every deadline is an opportunity to learn, grow, and demonstrate that your dreams are more than just ideas. They are achievable goals that demand dedication, ingenuity, and resilience. Momentum is one of the most powerful forces in achieving any goal, yet is often overlooked. Many people start with great enthusiasm, but after a few days or weeks, their energy fades and progress slows. The secret to sustaining action over time is not just motivation or inspiration, it is momentum. Deadlines are the mechanism that creates momentum. They push you to take consistent action, which accumulates over time and transforms your efforts into tangible results. Without deadlines, even the most ambitious goals risk stagnation because there is no structure to maintain forward motion. A deadline acts as a starting point and a measurement tool simultaneously. When you set a timeline, you give yourself a reference to track progress. Every task you complete, no matter how small, adds to a growing sense of accomplishment. This accumulation of completed actions is what creates momentum. Unlike motivation, which is fleeting and often dependent on emotional highs, momentum is built through deliberate, repeated effort. Deadlines ensure that your effort is not sporadic but continuous, turning small, daily actions into a powerful force that carries you forward. Momentum also affects your mindset. When you see that your actions are producing results, even incremental ones, your confidence grows. You begin to trust yourself and your ability to achieve your goals. This self-trust is critical because the journey toward any meaningful achievement is filled with uncertainty. Without deadlines, it is easy to doubt your progress or question whether your actions are sufficient. Deadlines, by creating a rhythm of achievement, reinforce belief in your capabilities. Each completed task, each milestone met, adds weight to your confidence and propels you toward the next step. Consistency is the key to turning deadlines into momentum. When you establish a timeline, you naturally create a habit of taking regular action. Habits, once formed, require less conscious effort and allow progress to continue even when motivation fluctuates. Deadlines serve as external anchors that reinforce these habits. They remind you to stay disciplined, to continue moving forward, and to make progress every day. The cumulative effect of these consistent actions is significant. What might have seemed like an overwhelming goal becomes manageable because you are moving forward step by step, day by day, toward completion. Deadlines also provide a sense of urgency that prevents stagnation. When there is no endpoint, it is easy to become complacent, to spend time on low-priority tasks, or to delay critical action. A looming deadline forces you to act decisively, to focus on what matters most, and to maintain momentum even when progress feels difficult. This urgency helps to overcome procrastination, which is one of the most common barriers to achieving goals. By creating a clear target, deadlines turn indecision into action and hesitation into forward motion. Furthermore, momentum generated by deadlines is self-reinforcing. Each accomplishment creates energy that drives the next action. As progress accumulates, it becomes easier to maintain effort, and the forward motion grows stronger. Deadlines provide a framework for this reinforcement by creating measurable milestones and a timeline to meet them. You can see the results of your work, adjust when necessary, and continue moving at an accelerated pace. The more momentum you build, the more your actions feel natural and inevitable, and the closer your dream becomes to reality. Deadlines transform the abstract into the concrete, not only by organizing your time, but also by creating a rhythm of progress that produces results. They allow you to move beyond mere intention and wishful thinking. They create a cycle where consistent action leads to visible outcomes. Visible outcomes strengthen confidence, and confidence fuels further action. This is how dreams evolve into accomplishments, through a disciplined application of effort guided by deadlines. Without deadlines, even the most talented and motivated individuals risk losing momentum and seeing their dreams stall. With deadlines, momentum becomes unstoppable, turning persistent effort into tangible achievement and transforming what once seemed distant into something attainable. Dreams are powerful, but without action, they remain invisible. Deadlines transform those dreams into reality by creating urgency, focus, and accountability. They push you to prioritize, to take deliberate steps, and to measure your progress. They test your commitment, forcing you to adapt, overcome obstacles, and grow stronger with every challenge. Most importantly, they generate momentum, turning consistent effort into tangible results. If you want your dreams to work, you must stop leaving them in the realm of someday. Set a timeline, take action every day, track your progress, and keep moving forward. A dream without a deadline is just a wish, but a dream with a deadline becomes a plan, a promise, and ultimately a reality that you can touch, feel, and achieve. The question is not whether your dreams are possible, it's whether you are willing to give them a deadline and commit to making them happen.